Mr. Zahra, if the trend continues and all things being equal, tourists coming to Malta this year will for the first time in history surpass the 3 million mark. With a little bit of luck, Malta might even exceed the 3 billion euro mark in terms of tourist expenditure. How does that sound? The future looks bright, doesn't it?
The future is looking very bright. So to be achieving the 3 million mark is in itself very successful. And to be achieving 3 billion in income is even more successful because most of the money that is spent by the tourist is actually remaining in Malta.
Let's be honest, are these numbers sustainable though?
These numbers probably are at the extreme part of sustainable. We now need to try and up the spend per person that arrives in Malta.
How can we do that?
A number of ways. First of all, we need to recalibrate our profile of arrivals. Our profile of arrivals was calibrated towards the older family men some years back. And through government action, through MTA action, we recalibrated it to try and attract the younger person to Malta. The younger tourists tend to have less to spend than the older tourists. And considering that we now have reached the extremities of arrivals that we can take, we now need to have the second trick, which is get the maximum out of each arrival.
What are the challenges that Malta's tourism industry is facing right now in 2024, in your opinion?
For the first time in a number of years, where our top-end hotels, our five-star hotels, are finding July and August not as successful as they had planned.
Is that linked to your criticism of the fact that the younger tourists are coming to Malta?
Well, it's not really a criticism. It's a remark.
It's an observation.
It's an observation.
What percentage of the five-star hotels are full at the moment?
The reality is that the demand is not as strong as they were expecting it. The four-star hotels seem to be doing well. And the three-star hotels also seem to be doing well. Now, once the five-star hotel starts discounting the rates, this will have a knock-on effect on the four-star and the three-star, which, of course, will mean that the bottom line is not there, and consequently, you won't be able to invest in the hotel in the future.
Had you been the Minister for Tourism, how would you address the situation?
I would start with having a vision. And the vision needs to be a 10-year vision.
You're implying there's no vision.
I am saying that if there is one, I am not so very well informed about it.
How are we going to improve? Is it the quality we're talking about? The quality of the tourist or what?
I am talking about the profile of the tourist. Mm-hmm. Because, when you talk about the quality, you can have a young tourist who is also quality.
Okay, how are you going to attract tourists with a better profile?
Culture. Environment, offer. We had, for example, a direction towards having lots of parties here in Malta, lots of concerts, etc., which attracted the young people, which was what we wanted to do originally in order to bring down the age profile of the arrivals. But we've been too successful in that respect.
You mentioned the environment. What's your take on that?
The environment clearly is suffering from the amount of people on the island, which is at the extremes of what it can handle. And I refer now here to our carrying capacity report. Clearly states, for example, that Mujibba and St. Paul's Bay, the drainage cannot handle it. So if you put in more development in that area, the situation is going to get worse, not better. I have a beef actually about planning authority, because we keep calling it the planning authority, but there's no planning there. It's just a permitting authority. You go there to get a permit, because if you're going to plan, and I understand that there are 99 applications, the planning authority,
hotels, right?
The planning authority should actually ask the hotels that are in the pipeline, what are you going to do about your drainage? What are you going to do about your power? What are you going to do about your employees? Are you going to, there's 27,000 rooms incidentally. 27,000 rooms, you'll need about 15,000 extra people to operate those 27,000 rooms. So Are we going to have more people coming in? Are we going to have 5 million tourists? How many tourists can we take?
Can you answer the question? How many tourists can we take?
At this moment in time, we have reached the extremities of what we can take, the 3 million. Now, if we had to improve our infrastructure, and improve infrastructure is, for example, drainage, energy, and that means taking up the roads. So there are many things that you can do, but is it practical to do them?
You mentioned the planning authority, and you called on government a few weeks ago, like you've been doing for the past 10 years, to be honest, to hold incentives for additional hotel rooms development.
A voice in the wilderness, I think.
But how has government reacted to this latest statement of yours to hold incentives for additional hotel rooms?
The word is consistent. And consistently silent.
So no reply whatsoever?
No reply whatsoever.
The hoteliers with a legacy, like yourself and others, have their own kind of little empire. Why should I or anybody else be banned from leaping in the world of tourism?
No, you should not. They should not be banned at all. What we are saying is, look, why are you giving schemes like the extra 2 floors when there's no need to encourage hotels? In the end, we have a situation where this industry now has matured. We should be getting together, putting funds together, and going out and buying properties abroad. The island is what it is. We cannot expand it.
What's your take on Airbnbs?
We have absolutely no problem, but there are rules and regulations. And the rules and regulations have to be complied with by everybody. Now, there are 4,000 units which are not complying.
It is often said that Maltese youth are not keen on working in the tourism industry. Is it true?
Number of employees in the country have gone from 180,000 employees to 280,000. So the Maltese have become choosers, and they're choosing industries which are less antisocial, where they don't have to work over the weekends, and hospitality tends to be attracting TCNs to work in
third country nationals.
Yeah.
Will the hospitality industry in Malta keep on relying on third country nationals?
You have to, because we have the population has not expanded, the Maltese population has not expanded, but the number of jobs have expanded.
But many people complain about the quality of the service they get in hospitality in Malta.
Unfortunately, they complain because they find that there is a TCN working there, but they also complain about high prices. The alternative is for that restaurant or for that catering outlet to close down, because you won't have any people to work for him.
What's your take on the recent crackdown by government on foreign workers, on third country nationals, and particularly those who have been working in the as cab drivers or as in the food delivery business?
Mario, I was very clear about Bolt recently. Bolt, where these are platform workers.
Yeah.
And the platform workers means that they have a contract with 0 hours, which means that they have a contract, but they don't get paid. They only get paid if they work. And we have got used to a situation where we're not really paying market prices. We're paying for somebody to remain poor. They were poor and they're remaining poor.
But there are some people who complain that Malta is becoming too expensive.
We have the same costs as other countries in the European Union. So, when you say too expensive, what do you mean too expensive? We're too expensive compared to Germany, compared to Italy, compared to France. What do you mean?
Okay, is Malta still competitive with these other destinations you mentioned? Is Malta competitive?
We have temples which are predating the pyramids. This is what we should be. We should not be selling price. We should be selling quality.
Like Venice does, for instance? Venice has introduced a cap on tourism.
We don't have to go down that road, because we're tiny compared to a lot of places, so we can be clever and quality, people are willing to pay for it.
Let me take you back to the issue about the workers, involving the workers. Government recently introduced the skills pass. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it was a very interesting idea, but we had originally told them this is going to be difficult to implement.
What are the challenges?
Administratively, it takes in a lot of government departments that all need to come together to coordinate in order to move forward. It's a challenge. In theory, everything works. In practice, you start, because the guy that had to mark it up this week was abroad. Or
But what are the practical challenges?
Administratively. Administrative. The challenges are administrative.
Let's talk about cruise liners. Are you in favor, for instance, of cruise liners berthing in Gozo?
The average spend of a cruise line passenger in Malta is 60 euros.
And you don't like that, do you?
And if we're not going to maximize on the arrivals, then we're going to have a problem. We're never going to get out of this situation. Everybody that comes to Malta must be a high spender. Most of the cruise liners nowadays are fully inclusive operators. Lunch, dinner, breakfast, whatever they want is on board. So the people that are going to the destination, because it's an open-air museum, they're going to an open-air museum where they're not paying. So we are providing those passengers an open-air museum. And this is why the spend is so low.
Malta's national airline, KM Malta Airlines.
It's extremely important that it keeps flying. If it doesn't keep flying, we'll have a major problem one day.
Do you have doubts?
If it goes down the lines that the previous Air Malta went, which was political direction and political interference, then we'll end up again in the same place.
If you had to make an honest assessment, has the Maltese tourism industry improved over the last decade?
Clearly, 3 billion is a big amount of money for a tiny island like Malta. So there's been a lot of investment going in there, and there's been a lot of return on tourism. Has it been good for the island? If it wasn't for tourism, we wouldn't have the successes that we have had up to now. Can it be better? Of course it can be better. Everything can be better, and we can do it better.
Mr. Zahra, thank you very much.